Alright, well, hello everybody and welcome back into the basement for the beginning of today's kind of a garden update. Figured we'd take a quick look at the aquaponics, but mostly I kind of want to babble about houseplants because we got a couple of new additions upstairs in the den and I really could use some help with these particular species. I've always killed one and not exactly struggled with the other, but I wouldn't say I've had resounding success. So yeah, we'll get to those in a few minutes, but I thought we would start by checking out what's left of the Darwin table down here, because houseplants and stuff. And yeah, quick look at the aquaponics. Alright, so here we have what's left of the Darwin table. A lot of those calanchos, flaming caddies. These things look really rough, because to be honest, I don't think I've watered them in well over a month. And that really, it makes them look bad, but I don't think any of these plants are going to die from it. I just came down, watered them heavily, and I'm pretty sure in a couple of days, if I check on these, they're all going to be looking delightfully plastic again. Maybe not that one back there, but for the most part, these are going to do fantastic. These spider plants here suffer a very similar form of abuse. Maybe they get watered once a month. These ones here, you know, I'm pretty sure these guys are finally officially dead. But one thing I am loving up on the Darwin table right now is how well the oregano is doing, having come back in from outside. I mean, even with all the damage I did here, pulling some out for the aquaponic garden, which you'll see how well that's doing in a second, it's just spurting up all kinds of new growth. And these are just, forgive the glare, but they're growing under little 17-watt household LEDs, you know, your replacement for your standard 100-watt bulb. And I think these are at 5,000 Kelvin because I couldn't find any at 6,500. But get lots of nice shoots on the oregano, and I'm going to cut a few of these off to try and root them upstairs in that black AeroGarden, because I want to add a variety of herbs to the peppers I've got growing in the den, kind of a companion gardening thing. And well, I want more herbs, healthier winters, right? So yeah, we're going to come through here, pluck a bunch of these off. I don't imagine I'll have the camera rolling for that, but we will get a few shots of me putting them in the AeroGarden. So, aquaponics. You can't really see them with this camera in this light, but the goldfish are doing fine, and I have taken to giving them feed again. Not necessarily the cheapest feed on the market, but not the stuff I used to give them. I just want to provide some extra nutrients for them and fatten them up a little bit. I could use a little bit more from them in the garden. We're looking at the parsley here. Not too bad. We've got some discoloration in there. Might be time to throw, I don't know, maybe a little bit of Epsom salt in here. It's never hurt the fish before. In the back here, we can see that catmint. A little bit of new growth in there. Hopefully you can determine that. So I'm hoping that has transitioned inside fairly nicely. I don't know why I'm stretching here. Just walk over to the tricolored sage, and we can see my thumb here. There's some new growth in there, and there's some new growth at the top. So I'm thinking these regular shop lights might not be quite intense enough for this tricolor sage at least, but the irregular standard old sage seems to be pretty content. We do tend to see these smaller leaves with an indoor sage, but they definitely still have that potent, pungent flavor and aroma that one is going for. And you know, when it comes to sage, it all burns the same. Need to do a smudge down here. Actually, we had some interesting things going on. I had a gargoyle down here that recently crashed over the other night, so I think something's coming to visit. But you know, Halloween, end of October, these things do happen. This is the oregano that we transplanted into the aquaponics. As you can see, it's doing quite well. We don't really have any floppy issues. Good and sturdy. Looks like lots of bright green new growth with the older green in there. So I'm really looking forward to this. Hopefully kind of growing over the edge and cascading down as winter goes on. Let's see, we've got those strawberry runners here. I'm not thrilled about that. That does not make me happy. I thought I was deeper down for starters, so that's going to be part of my problem. Get that into the water level. Yeah, maybe too late for that one, but we've still got, look just over past the garden, the regular strawberry plant there. Still seems very happy, very alive, and it's got berries on it, so we should go check that in a second here. Yeah, see the mint cuttings from the other day, clearly doing quite well. That one that was a V seems to be doing much better than the one that kind of had some roots on it, but all things in time. Loving this sage though, loving it. Thinking of houseplants though, this pitcher plant is not really looking too great since I took that 40-watt Sansi light upstairs. So I'm thinking this one may need to go up into the den if I hope to keep it alive. The little 15-watt that it's kind of getting a little bit of light from, just not doing the trick, is it? And then how is this for a spot of fun? The little mouse melon that could. This is its second winter in the basement. Yeah, who would have ever thought that you could overwinter any variety of cucumber, let alone this curcubit or whatever cucamelon, that's what it is. Cucumbers are curcubits, this is a cucamelon, something along those lines. Anyway, yeah, second winter and still going strong, but we were coming over to take a look at the strawberries as I'm kind of getting in the way of the light here. And look at that, that is adorable. Not necessarily looking so great there, but green healthy plant seems to be nicely overwintering. Got one of the outdoor spider plants down here, chilling, sending out flowers. All of these little flowers are going to be little plants soon, so really doesn't matter how many spider plants I kill off, I will always have more of them. It's fantastic. Houseplant, gardener's best friend. The lemon tree seems to have survived coming back inside fairly well. Pretty excited about that. Seems fairly happy in its current location, so I'm going to leave it there until it doesn't. But yeah, I guess that pretty much wraps it up. Here's back to that mint that was from the V-shaped branch. Wraps it up for the basement. So let's go take a look at those plants with which I need some assistance. So here are one of the plants that I'm having some issues with and would love a little bit of advice from the crowd. Your common aloe, but they say you can root from bits pretty much like that. I've had zero success so far. This plant is a couple of years old, growing beautifully, but no pups. So I've taken a few of these to kind of let them callus at the bottom like everybody says. And I'm going to try, well, leaf cuttings on an aloe, but didn't work last time. Not entirely sure I can think of any reason why it should work this time other than hope. So yeah, if you all have some advice, that would be great. Alright, so we're up here in the den now, and while those little peat pods kind of soak up some water there in the AeroGarden, figured we'll take a look at what's growing on here under the LED shop lights. And yeah, you may notice there's another aloe vera plant. Just picked that up. Really excited about it. Got it Wednesday, so I haven't had a chance to really kill it yet. But if we look around the side there, in the little red container, we can see my other plant with which I could use maybe a whole lot of assistance from the crowd, you know. We got a Venus flytrap here, and you know, I've got sticky traps over there that show we do have a population of fungus gnats that needs dealt with. Still no aphids up here that I'm aware of, and that is fantastic. But yeah, this thing was $8, terribly overpriced. I have purchased them a few times in the past, and I consistently kill them. So I read the back here, and it's like, keep me moist, and you know, I like light, but not necessarily direct sunlight. So I figure LED shop lights they're just light. That's exactly what they are. They're light, but not direct sunlight by any means. So if you have advice or know where most people tend to kill these things, please let me know how to keep that Venus flytrap alive. here is that aloe that we got. This was also $7 or $8, but I figure it's money well spent, really. They're a very useful plant to have around. And I've got kind of that 2 is 1, 1 is none mentality, so having this and the one in the kitchen gives me a lot more opportunities to try and root up leaf cuttings and maybe, you know, put them all over the house like these spider plants are, right? So, yes, aloe vera plants and Venus flytraps. If you have some experience, I would love to hear from you, because I tend to kill the Venus flytraps and I cannot root a leaf cutting on one of these aloes to save my life. But if you know of some sort of trick to make them throw up pups, because that's generally how they're divided, and I've seen that a lot. I think it's Rob Z, actually, who almost always has 50 million aloe plants scattered around his smoke shop. So Rob, if you're watching this, I don't know, maybe is there a trick you can share with me and or the assembled crowd, how to make your aloes throw out pups? Might be a good video topic, I don't know. Back to what you generally see on my channel and up here in the den, though. Can you recognize this plant? This is the Bhutlah Scorpion, and I am pleased to say, what have we got here? Oh, that is a little bit of future pain forming right there, ladies and gentlemen. I am terrified and excited about that, I tell you what. Looking at some of the other pepper plants, there's one of our scarecrows. It's the Trinidad Scorpion Butch Tea Red. I remembered to turn it so I could read the label this week. Waha. But I have trimmed it a little bit. We do see some new leaf growth on there, so that's kind of positive. And looking beside and kind of behind it, we've got that bad brains there. I definitely trimmed that. I definitely see new growth, and it looks like that pod is still trucking along, so I might yet get something out of that. No pod setting on this beautiful little orange habanero yet, but that's kind of life. Let's see what else is growing on around here. More spider plants. Kevin Surprise. They're everywhere. They're such good little air filters, you know. I don't know what kind of tree this is. Shox brought it home when she was working at the grocery still, and it's kind of been struggling this whole time. So I guess that's a third one, if you've got any houseplant advice on what the heck that is and how I should save it. Then we've got the monster bad brains. Oh, that plant looks good, so good, you know. It's a very pretty plant. I have yet to see a pod on that puppy, though. Yet to see a pod. Yeah. Nice pretty plant, though. My shoes squeaking behind me as I'm kneeling on the floor here. One thing I'm finding very interesting, if we look in the back, this is the Bhutlah clamshell that's growing in that cloth planter. And it seems to be doing really, really well. It dries out a little bit faster than the rest of these do, but that makes sense because the cloth is going to be a little more permeable. But it's been in there for a while, and I'm not seeing any signs of like root bound issues. It's kind of why we keep this one here in the cup, is because that's what happens when a plant gets root bound. A pepper plant anyway, it strips itself down, it looks pretty nasty. It starts looking like this one here, which is giving me some ideas as maybe this is root bound, maybe that one's root bound. So I might want to try and find some more of those cloth planters, transplant them, see if we can bring them back to a state kind of like that. And if so, then the cloth planters are definitely something to go on. But I also want to mix some herbs in with these for companion planting, niche gardening, whatever you want to call it. And that is why I brought up those oregano cuttings today. And actually I ended up bringing up a couple of sage cuttings too, because I don't know, sage is like habaneros to me, man. There can never be too much of it growing around. Can't have too many habaneros, you can't have too much sage. Oh yeah. Sage. We just got those ducks that you may or may not have seen a video from on the outdoor channel. Maybe sage would be a good one to go with that. I'll have to try that. So here we are at the AeroGarden. Those pods have not had anywhere near enough time to really absorb much of anything. Where'd my scissors go? But we're gonna get started anyway, because I know that they will. And that pump keeps coming on a pretty regular basis. Got one of my sage cuttings here. Hopefully you can see that. And I've just stripped off the lower leaves, making a nice bare stem, and I'm just going to cut that stem on a pretty extreme angle at the bottom there. And then even though I know these three in the middle are, well, problematic, I'm going to stuff this in here anyway, because a growing position is a growing position, and I want to take advantages of that, or take advantage of that. That said, I have to snip the bottom off of this one pod, because these three in the middle are a little bit shorter than everything else, so you get the kind of popping up effect. Hopefully that will root. I've had problems with sage and rooting in the past, but yeah, I'm hoping the AeroGarden will make it a much easier process for me. So again, I'm just stripping off the lower leaves from my cutting here, cutting it on a fairly harsh angle. I'm going to grab the one up front here, because the one in the middle is the one where all the water really blasts out. So actually I probably won't even have to pull that up. Just one thing I have found with these pods is the holes in the center don't all seem to be at the same depth, and I have found when I'm doing cuttings it can be a lot easier just to kind of slice down the side, because then I can get a slightly longer stem in there. And consistently the advice that I found on rooting any kind of cutting is that you want 4 nodes on there, so you need to be able to have that length available. You know, I should probably go back and do that for this one too. Make it a little bit deeper, more root opportunity. Get in there, you. I gave it the room, it just don't want it. Alright, well, good luck to you anyway. So that takes care of the sage. Put those in my little compost bucket over here. And then we've got all my little tiny oregano cuttings here. These things are just, you can't really see it very well, but they're not very big at all, fairly delicate. And again, I'm just going to strip off these lower leaves and leave myself with a bare stem. But I want to be gentle because this is very fresh sort of plant material. And I'm going to try and tuck them in. I do find, especially with these finer type stems, that getting them into dry pods, yeah, definitely a pain in the butt. And that's part of why I started cutting pods in the first place. So I guess I'm just going to need to take a minute, snip a few of these, and get ready to go. The lighting is really awkward over in this particular corner, so I apologize for that. Hopefully you can see that I've now cut down the pod as far down as that stem will go, sliding it all the way in. We've got the oregano, just the top leaves, and plunk in it goes. I'm going to repeat that for the rest of my oregano cuttings, and then I'll get right back to you. Alright, well, I guess since I'm putting herbs in here at the moment, I'm going to throw some parsley in here as well. These are itty bitty seeds, so probably getting more than I need in each pod there. But that's fine. Can always snip the stragglers, or as we learned with the pepper plants, I seem to be able to snip the tops if they're young enough and root those. But I want to get a lot of these different herbs growing in amongst the peppers and kind of just test and see what's going to do best for me as a companion plant. And this parsley did really well with that tomato in the garden. And that was sort of an accidental situation. So I'm like, if it can work as an accident, you know, reminds me of me. But no, if it can work as an accident, then how well can it work as an intentional? And if I multiply the herbs that go into it, you know, will that produce even better results? You know, the world's going towards multicultural. I guess gardens need to as well. And that's cool. So if we can get more out of less space and have those things do better, I see no reason not to give that a go. Now, I have definitely overplanted that parsley, and I am officially out of parsley seeds. So, just take my pencil here, tuck a few stragglers into the middle, maybe not. I might need something more threatening to the seeds than a pencil. Well, good luck to you, little seeds. Those pods will soak up, those seeds will get nicely soaked. In theory, should be good to go. So some oregano, some parsley, a couple sage. Oh, what do I have to fill up these outsides with? That becomes the next question, doesn't it? Looks like some summer savory. Might as well plant that around the edges. Give it a go. Again, attack of the itty bitty seeds. I think more of those are ending up in the bottom of the garden than in the pod here. That could be problematic in the future. We'll see. If plants start growing down there, I guess I can always transplant them into the aquaponics or something. Thinking I should have preloaded these seeds away from the garden though. But I only had half a plan when I started into this. I was just going to do some cuttings and let the extra spots just sit empty. But I'm like, that's kind of wasteful, isn't it? Alright, so again, I'm going to take my pencil, try and clean up a little bit. Make sure more of those, or at least a few more of them, end up in the center planting positions. Yeah, all in all, I think basically I just made a mess with those. Alright, so, yes, parsley, summer savory, oregano, sage. Let's hope those cuttings root well. Let's hope those seeds all pop up for me. And yeah, continue what seems to be the beginning of a good AeroGarden tradition. Guess I'll lower this down, get that closer to my cuttings. And I guess that's pretty much a wrap. So if you're still with me, thank you so much for spending a little time with me here on this Sunday Gardens update. Not quite an aquaponic update, not quite an AeroGarden update, not quite a pepper garden update. It's just, well, I guess it's just Sundays in the garden, isn't it? So a little tradition snuck its way in there. What do you do? What do you do? All right, folks. Yeah, that's about it for today, I guess. And I'm not quite sure when the next Bear's Den per se update's going to be, but I figure we should know in a week or so whether or not those cuttings are going to root, probably within a couple of weeks whether or not those seeds are going to pop. And yeah, otherwise it'll probably be downstairs in the basement as far as this channel goes. Yeah, don't forget to check out the farm channel if you're interested in that farmers who have inspired me, farmers of the future, farmers for the future, whatever I call that playlist. And please, if you're a hunter type, go check out JT's Barefoot Outdoor Adventures and give me some constructive criticism, a little feedback, if you will, on how Shocks and I did with those ducks. All in all, I think I did all right, but I definitely feel like I could have done better. So tips, tricks, techniques, the voice of experience, always welcome, right? Yeah, that's about it. So much love, everybody, and I will see you somewhere next time.